Hey guys, Dylan here, and today we are doing social media lunacy. Today we're going to be talking about Linkara. We are going atop the fourth wall. Now, there is a lovely song here. I'm not going to read these lyrics. They are amazing, though, and later on I'm going to see if I can get someone to sing it. So when I do a full version, you guys will be able to hear this amazing song over Linkara's song. You can see some of the lyrics right here, though. Here's Linkara pointing his little toy gun at the camera like a big man. We see him in his Power Ranger suit. He's definitely too fat for that. Green Ranger is a lot of people's favorite for some reason. Don't know why. Here's young Linkara. Wow. He didn't look that bad back then. He always looked weird. He's definitely thinner back then. ℒ𝐿𝐻𝐷, which is a weird name. It is definitely the strangest name I've heard in a while. Is a pro-feminist, neocon, closeted bisexual sick fuck. And by the way, I'm reading this off of ED, so if you get mad about some of the language use, it's totally them. I'm just going to read it as is, except for if it uses too many slurs, because that's monetization reasons. Who currently spends his time reviewing comic books on Channel Awesome, which, shockingly, he's still a part of. Even after everything that went on, Linkara is still associated with them, as far as I'm aware of. He's been around for a while. Where he pretends he was never a bad comic writer himself. With Sonichu-level art skills, he actually pretended to be a different comic artist just to build lore around his comic to make it seem more professional. He pretended to be a different person and then admitted to it publicly, defeating the whole purpose of pretending to be someone else. So I have no idea why he did that, but we are going to read. We are definitely going to read his comic. I have every intention on doing it. I also run a second channel that's mostly comic themed, so I have a lot of reasons to really want to do this. I love superheroes, and Lightbringer seems really interesting to me. I really want to read every fucking issue. It'll just be me. I might get a girl on to do the female characters, haven't decided on that yet, but the fucking Lightbringer reading is definitely coming. I'm going to do that regardless. And a retired man slut, and yes, you heard that correctly, who hung out on adult websites in search of cock. And yes, that is true. He claims to have a bachelor's in English with a minor in philosophy, meaning his parents paid for his college education and he had no idea what to do with it. Which is very sad. You see a lot of SJW millennials just go and get degrees on anything, and it's not really going to help them get a job. He didn't get a job with his college education. I'm not judging him. I'm just saying there's no point in doing it if you don't get a job. But it's just a giant waste of money when you study pointless classes that doesn't help you in a career at all. He also claims that makes him a college-educated professional comedian. You didn't take comedic classes. You didn't fucking take stand-up comedy. There are stand-up comedy classes. You are wrong, Linkara. When in reality, it just makes him a retard with a useless degree. Yes, you are 100% right on that. And I'm going to leave their little ad up. I'm not going to close their ads. I'm glad that Edie is back, and I'm glad that they have advertisements again, as long as they aren't horribly inappropriate. Hopelessly unfunny and thoroughly convinced he will achieve feminist godhood by endless sucking Gail Simone's cock. His videos epically fail on every account. And I actually used to be a Linkara fan. I used to watch Linkara all the time. I kind of got bored of him and moved on. But I'm going to tell you a story in part 2 of this where I go over all of his slut behavior. And I'm banned from following Linkara on Twitter. He blocked me. Being blessed with a grating voice. I can feel you there. I'm on the same boat with that one. And the comedic timing of a dead man. Ironically, despite claiming to be a bona fide feminist, 𝐿𝐻𝐷 also claims to be a conservative. I mean, there can be conservative feminists, it's just not that common, which at least fits with his book burning. I like that one. He actually burns a lot of comic books if they're bad, which I think is bad for the environment and you shouldn't do it. I get that it's for your lol funny character, but I wouldn't do that. It's a waste of paper. It burns shit into the fucking sky, which isn't fucking needed. And it's a waste of a comic book that you could have sold or gave away. When he gets the chance, he tries to make you buy his Watchmen ripoff comic he made. I don't know if I would say that Lightbringer is a Watchmen ripoff. It's a ripoff of a lot of stuff, but I don't know. Just quoting Rorschach isn't enough for it to be a Watchmen ripoff. It's not smart enough. It's not smart enough to be a Watchmen ripoff. As his series goes on, he also continues to be agonizingly unlulzy due to boring as fuck source material, missed joke opportunities, and a storyline. See, that is what made me stop watching Linkara. Before, his shitty little story was at the end of the video, and I could tolerate that because I'd stop watching. But now his stories are everywhere, and they consume a lot of shit, and I don't care. I don't care about his stupid fucking stories. They're bad. They're all bad. As unfunny and uninteresting as many of the contributors on the site. Seriously, why the fuck does reviews need exactly? The reviews do not need a plot. I did not come here for your cosplay. I did not come here for your stupid story about evil robot versions of you. Practically every character is him. I didn't come here for this. I wanted you to review a bad book. That's it. Same thing goes to Doug. Same thing goes to James. Just stop with this shit. It's cringe. It's not funny. You quit being funny a long time ago. They are as bad as porn with stories and only showcase his pathetic wish fulfillment power fantasy. Exactly. He has like a really suave version of himself. And even though it's supposed to be like a suave version of himself, it's still cringy, and he does like a terrible fucking accent. It reminds me of Lunatic Leonard. Also speculated upon is the fact that he actually knows anything about comics. I get that feeling too. It feels like he just goes on Wikipedia to find a lot of his information, but that's just me. Or that he just bought himself a collection of books, like the way Irate Gamer did, buying himself his game collection from eBay so he could make money off of his original show concept. I don't think James owned his collection either. I think it was Mike Matei's at the beginning. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure people gave James a lot of his games. Angry Video Game Nerd. As stated several times by himself, Linkara only does this for the money that the site brings in. I mean, I can't blame him. A hustle is a hustle. I'm not gonna fucking be mad at him as long as he's still entertaining when doing it, but that's where we disagree with each other, including ranting why the Watchmen movie sucked so he could earn money on trolling the fans. See, I have issues with the Watchmen movie. It is a good adaptation. It leaves out a lot. I wish they could have had more time. I wish they could have done a show instead of a movie, but the casting is fucking perfect. A lot of the scenes are replicated like pretty accurately. And changing the ending was a damn good idea because I never liked the idea of a giant alien squid anyway. So that's just me. That's just me nerding out about Watchmen. However, in recent years, it's become quite obvious that he has metamorphized into one of the contributors who believes that maybe, just maybe, this can turn out to be a full-time job. And by the way, to bring up Spoonie, Spoonie used to be a part of Linkara's show. He brought on his character, Dr. Insano, or sometimes said Dr. Insano. I don't know which one's correct, but I'm going to say Insano. And when Spoonie started being an idiot, and he left Channel Awesome, or he got kicked from Channel Awesome, Linkara straight up stole his character and made Dr. Lin Sano, and it's literally just him wearing a jacket and goggles, the same goggles, but the jacket's brown, so it's not the same as Spoonie's, and it's still the same jacket he normally wears. So yeah, he stole Spoonie's character. But as this example shows, like a good company man, Linkara rabidly defends even the worst of his co-contributors. That's where me and him separate from one another. I have thrown my guys under the bus when they are dumb. And that's why a lot of people don't work with me and don't like me, including the massive fail loser known as the Distressed Watcher. Furthermore, to ensure his loyalty to Channel Awesome, you gotta fucking sacrifice to your overlords, he had to post that he refused to comment on that Aussie guy's canning. Sadly, Linkara has become quite popular on the site, and his rabidly retarded fans quickly cast out any combined shit reviews, failures, evidence that Linkara's role is minimal, as he studies his co-workers on the site so he can be a part of their clique. By example, trying to quote the movie Dune with Spoonie and ℓ𝔾critic's brother, many months after Spoonie had told about this activity in a video commentary. If you thought ℓ𝔾 critic calling out angry video game nerd into a battle to boost his fame was sad, then you should take a look at Linkara. Exactly. It's quite obvious. No one on that guy with the glasses, now Channel Awesome, now whatever the fuck they call themselves, knows how to do a proper review. Exactly. I had that issue for so long, as Linkara just gives a summary of the plot of what he's reviewing, giving rise to the question, why would anyone buy the thing when they can just have some professional reviewer, in quotes, read out the whole thing to you in the same bland, monotone voice. We're going to read a little bit more, and then we're going to wrap up this part 1. Potential furry. And this does count as degenerate behavior, but it's up here, so we're just going to read it here. I don't want to have to scroll back up and down. Potential furry isn't that inappropriate anyway, so we'll just do it here. In his countdown prologue video at 11 minutes after going to a furry character and given the chance to make a joke about furries, he instead gets butthurt and says the following quote, "No, I'm not going to make a furry joke. Get over it, internet. Some people just don't have the same interest as you." And if that Linkara voice is bad, I'm sorry. I tried. I'm trying my hardest here. I can't do every voice. I'm not the fucking impressionist. Not to mention that his support for the furry fandom is well known on the forum. Perhaps a bit too well known. Potential lulls may ensue if Linkara actually does turn out to be a furry. This is also the most likely reason why he refuses to review Sonichu on his show, because he does not want to insult one of his own kind. And Chris Chan's a debatable furry. Also, we wrapped this into Chris Chan somehow, so yeah, meta quota there. Additionally, in his Angel Armor series, he states the protagonist, Lewis, you named your main character after yourself, is in love with a cat girl. Very Neko of him. It can't get much more blatant than that. Or it's ripping off Food Fight. Linkara the writer. As mentioned before, Linkara has a degree in English. This has led Linkara under the blind impression that he is a writer. Hysterically, Linkara's writing is worse than his video reviews. Don't believe me? Read the same pages of Linkara's Angel Armor series. Note how he insults the reader for not knowing obscure Greek mythology, fails at recapping what happened in the last books, and uses rape to introduce drama, which continues into his comic, by the way. So if you guys are happy about that, it's going to be a reoccurring thing in his comic. And has a cat woman who can magics, and yet again cat women, as his self-inserts girlfriend. Truly, that English degree has cultivated a truly great writer. Another thing to note is how Linkara writes for 2 webcomic books at the same time. There is a 3rd webcomic book, and by the way, I also write for books online, so I can't really talk too much there. I want to assume my books are slightly better than Lightbringer. I know I'm selling myself short there. I just refuse to say that I'm the best out there. I only gave that information because it's relevant to me looking at his book, because I know how it is to be a webcomic creator. Book, Linkara is peripheral in it as well as crossover. This suggests Linkara is an all-work, no-play kind of guy who is This suggests that Linkara is an all-work, no-play kind of guy who constantly spews shit, possibly explaining how he got Iron Liz, since Linkara probably can't be bothered going on more than 15 minutes out of his basement, since he has more important comics books to write. And no, not a single one of them are good. And that's true. The saddest part is, through all of his posturing as some sort of comic book critic with taste and level-headed sensibilities, he's just another piece of shit public-hosted webcomic runoff that got lucky. And one of the main things that he talked about in his reviews, and I watched a lot of his reviews growing up, is that you shouldn't use rape unless it's really needed. And he does not follow that rule. And I'm going to stop saying that word now, hopefully, because yet again, YouTube doesn't like that word. Revolution of the Mask. A really bad 1984 ripoff mixed with The Watchmen with a hint of The Dark Knight Returns. Did he make this? I didn't hear of that one. I guess I'm going to look at that too. I want to know that. I thought they were calling The Lightbringer a Watchmen ripoff. I want to fucking read this. Revolution of the Mask is also where Linkara uses his useless philosophy minor to spew nonsense. Oh, I love that type of shit. I need to read this comic. Linkara, being borderline retarded feminist he is, depicts women being forced to give men sex. Really? Again? Why is this in all your stuff, Linkara? Calm down. All times when asked for, as to warn people of this where society is heading. Oh yeah, sure, that's where it's going. Only with certain people. The protagonist is abducted by a Rorschach ripoff, so it's also ripping off V for Vendetta. Wonderful. A Wonder Woman ripoff, and a ninja, because that's befitting, who are all conveniently the world's first superheroes. Wow, how did they all know to meet with each other? Linkara had to go through 3 artists in order to get even 2 issues released. That's not good. With one of them just altogether disappearing on him. I can say that comic books are hard to get out. I have 4 chapters of my comic out, and I have been dealing with a lot of real life stuff, so I haven't been able to write, but hopefully I can get back on that soon. What a great businessman. Now we get to talk about the great one. Hopefully they don't spoil too much. Lightbringer, a truly epic piece of lulz. When looking at his earliest pieces of MS Paint drawings, Linkara would eventually hire out an actual artist, which is when the story got kind of decent, in order to throw money away at a comic no one reads. The story is about the first superhero in the world, again, who is essentially Bruce Wayne, but with some vague powers. There really isn't a story here outside of tasteless, cruel acts against women, a common theme with him. The goons of Something Awful had a field day with his story, and I might read their I might read their stuff later. Linkara took it to heart. Crossover Lord. What Lord? Oh, you mean that comic he barely worked on and abandoned for people to finish while he joined that guy with the glasses, Circle Jerk? I guess he just abandoned that comic altogether. And this is the final part that we're doing for part 1. History of Power Rangers, and this is a very lulzy part. You guys are going to love hearing about this. As a side project, Linkara likes to spurg out about his favorite Japanese show as a kid that was severely butchered and is nowhere near as good as Kamen Rider. Here, he critiques each series like a fine wine or a classic piece of American literature. He also goes out of his way to buy official props used on the show, as said by copycat dealers, making a fast buck on this retard at Comic Cons. In November 2010, Linkara's recent update about his series started off with a 6-minute butthurt statement, and that is the famous Power Ranger rant. Driven at his fan base, he claims that he was busy being jobless, attending conventions, and filming the worst thing imaginable next to 𝐜𝒾, which is a Channel Awesome movie that I might talk about later. The horror starts at 22-minute mark. Lewis apparently doesn't understand how to make a short message about his future work being put on hiatus, and gets a huge uproar of fan backlash from his pure ignorance. Furthermore, he probably should have been far less bitchy about this update. I need to take that criticism. I need to work on that myself. So I have no room to judge, no room to quip. I'm not even gonna fucking comment on it. but no one really gives that much of a shit about his History of Power Rangers series to tell him this. And I don't know if he ever apologized for that, but that's him fully dressed up as the obese Green Ranger. And that was part 1 on Linkara. Right now we covered all the safer work stuff, but next time we're gonna get into the weird stuff, the degenerate stuff. So hopefully you guys will stay tuned for that, because it's gonna get spicy. But hopefully you guys like this basic introduction to Linkara. There are other series out there that document Linkara. Mr. ℜ𝐷𝐾r made a really good video on Linkara if you want a full history on who he is and what he did and what he got up to online. This is just a basic introduction. Hopefully you guys like this though. If you like it, hit the like button. If you really like it, share it. And if you want to see more, then subscribe. Stay tuned, because we're going to be covering part 2 soon. Bye guys.
Let me say this once again, since apparently it was not made clear when this video series began. History of Power Rangers has no set schedule. The videos are done when they're done, and will be released when they're done. In case you haven't noticed, I've been more than a little busy the last few months. If you haven't noticed, wake up already!